Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Trinadapi Sunichena Tarar Api Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Harinama 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 Eva Kevalam Kolo Nastiva 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 Gatir Anyata Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Adigo Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna Na Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everybody to my favorite temple to come and visit. Tonight I'm dedicating this class to one of my students, Vandana Malhotra Dua, who is being tested by Krishna very seriously. So I would like everyone to please repeat after me and let's bless my student, Vandana. Everyone repeat, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. So, usually when I am requested to speak anywhere, I usually have enough notice and time, and I wait for a text message from Krishna in my heart. But this week, Monday came, Tuesday came, Wednesday, no text message. Even as of yesterday, I had to do another program in somebody's house. Still no text message from Krishna. But then today, it came. And it came in this way, that recently I have been self-reflecting. That's an item that devotees do. They reflect on their life. How are they progressing? Which direction? What are the inclinations? So lately, what has come up is I've been trying to remember why I surrendered to Krishna. Because I did. In 1973, before becoming Prabhupada's disciple, first there is an internal where you inside say, yes, this life I'm giving to Krishna. So that was sometime in February 1973. Because I was even then reflecting, should I go down this path? Should I go down this path? Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. And then I said, you know what? Everything in the material world I would like to achieve. These group, maybe you've heard of them, the Beatles. they achieved everything that I could want. And I remember at that time reading how they were all unhappy. So I was thinking, wake up, man. What you want to achieve, they already have. And in the end, they realized we're not happy. So I said, okay, yes, Prabhu? What's that? You should tell them that you're an aspiring musician. Yeah, well, that's obvious. So I said, you know what? This life I'm going to give to Prabhupada and Krishna. And I've said year after year since then, that was the best decision I ever made in my life. And here I am today in this beautiful ISKCON of San Diego. So beautiful here. And I've said many times, your temple is so nice. You have good mix, Indians, Americans, Mexicans. It's like a little United Nations, but no fighting. Everybody's getting along. I mean, after all, nobody fights during prasadam unless you steal from somebody's plate. Now that's against the law. Anyway, so tonight's subject matter is why I surrendered to Krishna. So of course, the way I have been trained is that when speaking, you have to quote from the Shastras. That's what Prabhupada taught, how Prabhupada himself preached. That's how Lord Chaitanya preached. He would say things and then immediately statements from the Vedas to corroborate. So I begin with one of my favorite shlokas. And this shloka has been a favorite of mine since at least 1974. Who'd ever thought? I never thought. Like Dravida said, I was an aspiring musician. And, you know, songs have verses. And who would have thought the day would come when I would relish these Sanskrit Vedic verses? And I do. So here's my verse. Let's see how you all fare. All right, sit straight. It's time for class. Please repeat. Aishvarasya samagrasya Viryasya yashasa sriya Jnana vairagya yoshchaiva Shanam bhaga itingana. So, one of the first things I read in Prabhupada's books, in the beginning of my favorite of Prabhupada's books, Krishna book, Prabhupada writes that the definition of Godhead, and Prabhupada didn't give the Sanskrit, but he was referring to this verse. And he writes that Krishna is the Godhead because he exactly typifies what we mean by this word, Godhead. So later, I found the Sanskrit and I said, yes, very nice. So please repeat, Aishvaryasya. So the first opulence of Godhead is wealth. Next word, samagrasya. In full. Yeah, that's the idea. We're having like a class. So yes, you respond to the teacher. Next word, viryasya. Strength or power. Yashasa. Fame. Shriya. beauty. Jnana, knowledge. Vairagyayo, renunciation. Shanang Bhaga Iti Ingana, the 6 divisions of opulence. So the word samagrasya was used, and that is key. Because anyone can claim, yes, I have wealth. And recently we heard this, he used to be a governor here, Schwarzenegger. You remember him? Recently he made a really stupid comment. He says, when you die, that's it. And I said, what an idiot. No understanding of the soul. No understanding of, even though for many years, and the Badri can testify, for many years on the Rath Yatra Day in LA, Badri said, and others have said, that there's this one restaurant, and Mr. Schwarzenegger and one of his friends, every year they would watch the Rath Yatra parade smoking a big cigar. So we were thinking, well, I guess he has something, but this latest statement, I said, oh, God. So yes, he could say, I have viryasya, strength and power. Anyone can claim they have these opulences, but samagrasya, in full. That's the key. You may have 1, you may have 2, you may have all 6 of the opulences, but nobody can claim I have all 6 in full to an unlimited degree. But Krishna can. So that's one reason why I follow Krishna. Then, another powerful statement by Lord Brahma, the Creator, the first born living creature. He's sometimes described as Atmabhu, because externally it appears he's self-manifesting, but actually he admits in Bhagavatam that actually I come from Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu. And Prabhupada writes that Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu is both mother and father of Brahma. See how nice Vishnu is? Lakshmi ji, you take rest. I'll produce Brahma myself. Very nice. Huh? So, Brahma is considered Adi Kavi, the original Pandit, the original learned person, and he's described as the topmost. In fact, there is one description in the Bhagavatam. How do you become a Lord Brahma? You have to live 100 births without any sin perfectly. Good luck. Yes. So unlike our modern politicians who get posted hook or by crook, right? That's what's happening nowadays. Fake who you are. Pretend that you're this, and this, and then you're discovered to be a complete idiot. But still, you got elected. But you cannot, in Krishna's administration, no. Krishna's administration is you have to walk the walk, talk the talk, and put in the penance. No cheap. So to become Lord Brahma, very, very special. And sometimes it's mentioned, nobody is fit for the post of Lord Brahma. Does Krishna abandon us? Nope. Krishna says, okay, I'll take the post of Brahma. That's Krishna. See? You can see why I love Krishna. So, Brahma, he is considered one of the topmost authorities. He's also one of the Mahajans, the authorities in the science of God. There are 12 of them. So he has composed one book, Brahma Samhita, which originally was 100 chapters, but currently we only have one such chapter. Where the other 99 are, nobody has discovered. But this 5th chapter, there's enough. And Prabhupada has sung that Brahma Samhita. There's a certain section you all know. Please repeat. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamahang Bhajami. Where Brahma is repeatedly glorifying Krishna, and he's saying, I worship that Krishna. So the opening of that 5th chapter, very powerful statement by the topmost authority in the universe. Please repeat, it's easy. Ishvara Paramaha Krishnaha. Very good, students, very good. Satchid Ananda Vigraha. Very good. Anadir Adir Govinda. Sarva Karana Karanam. So the first line, Ishvara Parama, means somebody is not just a controller, the supreme controller. And then the name is given. Please repeat, Krishna. So the very first line, Brahma is stating the supreme controller is Krishna. Then, what makes Krishna so special? Satchid Ananda. He's full of knowledge, eternity, and bliss. Oh, what a wonderful word. Ananda. Unlike material happiness, which comes and goes up and down, we all know. One day you wake up, oh man, I feel good today. Let's rock and roll. Then the next morning, I don't feel so good. I ate too many glubjamins. So that's material happiness. Whether it's goodness, passion, or ignorance, it comes and it goes. But Ananda is different. At every second, it increases. Every second, it increases. And then this word, everyone say, Vigraha. This means that Krishna has a form. He's not impersonal. He's not some ghost. No. He has a form, a transcendental, spiritual form. Some people misunderstand, not you, but there are people out there that they think, yes, God, I believe in God, but He has no form. He's Nirakar. He's formless. No. That's not what Lord Brahma says. No. Vigraha. He has a form, but unlike my form and your form, we all know what's going on day after day, right? The body is changing right before your eyes. Imperceptibly, one day you wake up, what? I have gray hair? What? What happened? One day I had this great physique, right? Then one day you wake up, big belly. What happened? That form, this form, This form is not Satchid Ananda. That's just the opposite. Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. No bliss. This body, what does Prabhupada say? It's a bad bargain. But Krishna, his form is transcendental, spiritual. Otherwise, when Krishna was here recently, 5,000 years ago, They saw Krishna. Kamsa saw Krishna. The gopis, there's that scene in the wrestling arena. Kamsa had arranged a wrestling match. Krishna and Balaram were 11 years old. And the king Kamsa, he had arranged, Krishna and Balaram, you have to fight these big wrestlers. Mushtika, Chanura, Toshala. What was the other one? There's another one, Toshala. Anyway, there was 4 that I remember. How was that? So, Krishna and Balaram, and while the wrestling was going on, these huge wrestlers and these young boys, 11 years old, and so the audience was seeing the same Krishna, but their vision was different. When Yashoda and Nanda saw Krishna in the arena, they were thinking, oh, our little son, oh my God. And the cowherder boys, Krishna's friends, they said, hey, there's our Krishna. Okay. They were not worried. And the gopis, they were also seeing Krishna in the arena, but what were they seeing? Cupid. And Kamsa was also looking at Krishna, and what did he see? Death personified. So, different people were seeing the same Krishna, but because of their vision, they were seeing differently. But the point is, they were seeing Krishna. Now, Lord Brahma says, Anadi Adi. He himself has no beginning, and therefore he is the origin. I just got finished explaining how Brahma's origin is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. But Garbhodakashayi Vishnu has a cause, and we go back to Krishna. And after Krishna, nope. Anadi Adi. He has no cause other than himself. That is more than God. Yes, this word God is used, bandied about so many different ways. This person is God, this person is God, this Baba is God, but this is beyond God. Absolute truth. Absolute truth means everything comes from Krishna, everything rests in Krishna, and in the end, everything enters into Krishna. And Krishna, he is, and then it says, actually, Krishna's original name, please repeat, Govinda. Ah, Govinda. Beautiful. Everybody again say. Govinda. It has different meanings. Govinda means he gives pleasure to the cows, especially in Vrindavan. Krishna is the pleasure. He gives pleasure to the senses, especially purified or transcendental senses. And then another meaning of Govinda, he gives pleasure to the land, especially, again, Vrindavan. Now that we've established something about Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, he was once instructing his disciple Sanatan Goswami, and he was describing many different aspects of this science of Krishna consciousness. So here's a little excerpt. My dear Sanatan, please hear about the eternal form of Lord Krishna. He is the absolute truth. He is devoid of duality. And he is present in Vrindavan as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna is the original source of everything and the sum total of everything. Krishna appears as the supreme youth. I love this. I love this because in other traditions, they depict God as an old man with a beard. And I was never attracted to that. But when I discovered Krishna, Krishna is the supreme youth? That's my kind of God. And then we see that Krishna is a musician. How good a musician, huh? He just plays his flute and everyone becomes attracted. There's one very nice chapter in the Krishna book. The gopis are describing the miraculous effects of Krishna's flute. They describe so many different things. Even inanimate objects become attracted or affected by the sound of Krishna's flute. The sound of Krishna's flute entered Lord Brahma's ear, and out came from his mouth the Gayatri mantra. So this sound of Krishna's flute, so powerful. And Krishna's whole body is composed of spiritual bliss. Krishna is the shelter of everything and the master of everyone. The original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. Here, Lord Chaitanya also confirms Krishna's original name is, everybody say, Govinda. Govinda. He is full of all opulences, and his eternal abode is known as Goloka Vrindavan. So, what I like about this Vedic knowledge, I mentioned this last time. We have an expression here in America, the devil is in the details. But I mentioned last month, Godhead is in the details. Where else can you find Krishna's abode? What does Krishna do every day? That used to be a question I would ask. So if I go to heaven, what am I going to do all day? Play a harp in the clouds? What do you do? But when you read about Krishna, you see every day is a festival in Krishna's abode. Every day is a festival. Lord Brahma also says that at the end of his 5th chapter. They don't walk in the spiritual world, they dance. They don't talk, they sing. This is the symptoms of ecstasy. So, Krishna, he is the all-attractive. That's the very meaning of this word, Krishna. All-attractive. Lord Chaitanya continues. There are 3 kinds of spiritual processes for understanding the absolute truth. Namely, speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and bhakti yoga. But Lord Chaitanya says, depending on the process, you understand a certain aspect of the absolute truth. So, with speculative knowledge, the perfection is that you realize the all-pervasive spiritual energy, Brahman. So for the speculators, if they can come to that state, they've realized one feature of the absolute truth. Then those who perform real yoga, not this Kali Yuga, Hollywood yoga, hot yoga, cold yoga, goat yoga, beer yoga. Every day there's a new yoga. I'm not making this up. It's there. So real yoga, as explained by Krishna in Gita and by Kapil Dev in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam. The real yoga, if you practice, then you can realize the second feature of the absolute truth. Everybody say, Param Atma. That means Krishna in your heart. Now, whether you believe me or not, it's okay. But I'm telling you, I don't know why. At the age of 5, I understood God is in my heart. That wasn't taught in Our Lady of Loretto Catholic School, but I believe that from previous life, I have come to that understanding. Because I can remember the day. It was a nice spring day, sitting on the front step of my house in Hempstead, Long Island. We had big trees. The sun was, and I remember thinking, God is in my heart. I've always believed in God. Never was there a time that I can remember where I didn't believe in God. And I was shocked. I went to 13 years of Catholic school. And when I got to high school, so many of my so-called Catholic co-students, they were atheists. I was going, what? Because as far as I remember, I always believed in God. Then we get to the ultimate feature. If you practice Bhakti Yoga, then you can realize this Bhagavan. We just explained the 6 opulences. Bhagavan. That van ending means possessor of. Like we have Jnanavan, one who's possessing knowledge. But Bhoga, we already explained at the outset, opulences. And Krishna. So the process that if you follow Prabhupada, if you follow Gita, if you follow Bhagavatam, the process you necessarily will follow is Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga. That is clear. I've read Bhagavad Gita from start to finish many times. It's not changed. It's not changed. Everywhere Krishna says, you want to see me? Bhakti. You want to understand me? Bhakti. You want to return to me? Bhakti. And this is also a concept I very, very much appreciate. Coming from the 60s, the peace-love generation, I was all about that. I was all about peace and love. But I couldn't find it in New York. I could not find peace and love. Until I found Krishna. And Krishna, in his Gita, chapter 5, he gives you the peace formula. Yes, there's a formula for peace. Just have to accept 3 things. Bhoktarang yagya tapasang. All sacrifices, who's the enjoyer? Krishna. Who is the proprietor of everything? Krishna. And who is your dearmost friend? And again, how is Krishna your dearmost friend? Look where he is. He's not in your toe. He's not in your brain. No, Krishna is in the heart. Now, you may have a nice husband, a nice wife, maybe not. That's for you to decide. You may have a very good friend, right? But none of these has been with you from the beginning, since you entered this material world 1 trillion lifetimes ago. Yes, we learned that from Bhagavatam. This is not our first rodeo. No, we've been hanging around for quite some time. But somebody has been with us from the beginning, and that is Krishna. So he is your dearmost friend. And we're going to hear a little bit about that from Prabhupada a little later. Are you still with me? Everybody say, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, I got to make sure I make sweeping. Otherwise people will think, hey, why he's not looking at us? Okay, I'll try. Lord Chaitanya continues. The manifestation of impersonal Brahman, which is without variety, is but the rays of Krishna's bodily effulgence. It is exactly like the sun. For when the sun is seen by ordinary eyes, it appears to consist simply of effulgence. You look directly, it's too much. Too much. Now we come. The Paramatma Super Soul feature is a plenary, full portion of the Godhead, who is the original soul of all living entities. So Krishna is the source of Paramatma. And Krishna says that in Gita more than once. Chapter 13. So much information in Gita chapter 13 about Krishna in the heart. But here comes very powerful statement that Lord Chaitanya quotes in speaking to Sanatan. It's from the Bhagavatam. Krishnam enam avehitvam atmanam akilatmanam jagadhitaya sopyatra dehi vabhati mayaya. So Shukadeva Goswami has just informed Parikshit the whole story of Lord Brahma trying to play a trick on his master Krishna. Now just imagine, you may have a job. You may be highly posted in your job. Are you going to taunt or try to play a trick on your boss? Well, I don't know if you would do that. No. So that's basically what Lord Brahma was doing. Jai. After a long time, I'm seeing my good friend. Hare Krishna. So that's what Brahma tried to do. He was thinking, how can this 7-year-old, 5-year-old boy be my Lord and Master? So he tried to play a trick. But Krishna played the trick back on Brahma. And he became bewildered, stupefied. Yes. And he had to come and beg forgiveness for his nonsense activities. Yes. So after that whole incident, what happened? Well, we'll just let Prabhupada explain it. So here's the verse. My dear King Parikshit, Shukadev says, you should know Krishna to be the original soul of all Atmas or living entities. And for the benefit of the whole universe, Krishna has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared just like an ordinary human being. And that was the mystery of Krishna's appearance and why many personalities became bewildered. Because generally, in Vedic terms, when the word God is used, they think of Narayan. Everybody say. Narayan. Or Vishnu, like that four-handed, majestic, all-powerful. But when Krishna appeared, he looked like a village boy, a cowherder boy. And he looked just like anyone. So they were bewildered. Brahma became bewildered. Indra became bewildered twice. So many people were looking at Krishna, and it was mentioned in the Mahabharata when Dhritarashtra was questioning Sanjaya just before the war. Dhritarashtra was saying to Sanjaya, because Sanjaya was his secretary, his servant. Dhritarashtra said, Sanjaya, I don't have the same kind of faith and love in Krishna that you do. How come? So Sanjaya said, okay, I will tell you the straight. Yeah, you might be a servant. Usually you bite your tongue. But if you're asked a question, all right, that's also my policy. I don't bother anybody. But if you ask me, I'm going to tell you as it is. No fake news with me. But you have to ask. Otherwise, I don't bother. So, Krishna, he looks like an ordinary human being. And so, it was explained in the Bhagavatam, the mysterious pastimes of Krishna and Balaram. So now, Prabhupada, this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada explains, very nice. So Prabhupada says, Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukadeva Goswami why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved Krishna even more than their own offspring or life itself. Because what had happened, Brahma tried to play a trick. So Brahma stole all of Krishna's cows and cowherder boys and put them asleep into a cave. So Krishna was looking and he couldn't find the cowherd boys and calves. So Krishna said, I know what's going on here. Brahma thinks he's a smart aleck, huh? He thinks he can play a joke on me? I'll show him. And how can I return home without the cowherd boys and calves? So Krishna said, no. The residents of Vrindavan, even the cows, they cannot be in any anxiety at any time. So for 1 year, Krishna expanded himself as all the calves, as all the cowherder boys, down to the minute detail. That's Krishna. Exactly what each boy was wearing on that day, Krishna duplicated. It's called spiritual cloning. And so for 1 year, the cowherd boys and the calves were with their mothers, and they didn't know that their real cows and boys were asleep in the cave. After almost 1 year, Balaram could figure it out. Just see, it took Balaram almost a year, and he's God. I'll let Dravida answer that at the end of the class. So, it was seen by Balaram that the cows were at the top of Govardhan Hill, and at the bottom were the cowherd boys and the calves. So and the older cowherd men were at the top taking care of the cows. So when the cows saw their calves, they ran down Govardhan Hill like this. Balaram was going, what is going on? And of course, the cowherder men, now they're flustered. Now they got to come down the hill. They got to get hold of all the cows. And the cows started licking the bodies of their calves. Balaram was thinking, this is very strange. And then when the cowherder men came and they saw their sons, they smelled their heads and they started to cry. Balaram was thinking, this, Krishna, what are you doing here? What's going on here? This is not right. So the truth of the matter was that they loved these calves and they loved these boys more than their real ones because they were all Krishna. Exactly. So that's why this point is being made. That actually the supreme lovable object is Krishna. At that time, Shukadeva Goswami replied that everyone's Atma or soul is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. But that Atma or spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. And that's a Bhagavad Gita verse. Krishna claims us. Mama eva angsha. Krishna claims us as his angsha. Is this your angsha? Yes, your child. We're all children of Krishna. I love that. We're all the same family. Group hug. We're all in the same family. We have Krishna. That's how devotees can go anywhere and approach anyone and introduce them to their original father, Krishna. Last week was it Father's Day? Last Sunday? Yes. And of course, we honor our fathers. But according to Gita, our original father is Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself, and one wants to protect the body by all means because within the body the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. And similarly, the soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is very, very dear to all living entities. Unfortunately, the soul forgets his or her constitutional position and thinks that one is only the body, Deha Atma Buddhi. Thus the soul becomes subjected to the rules and regulations of material nature. When a living entity, by use of intelligence, reawakens, there it is, reawakens. That's why I love woke philosophy. Because it's original. I gave that lecture recently here. The original woke philosophy is the Vedas. And Prabhupada has used this term hundreds of times. Reawaken, because our relationship with Krishna is always there. It always was there. It's still there now. And it will always be there. Problem is, some accept and some reject. Sometimes, in the past, I would be invited to speak in Cal State, Los Angeles. Cal State, it's very technical. So there was one professor, Professor Wilson. She would call the LA Temple, and myself, Archita, and others, we would do a class. So she would give us topics. So one time I was explaining different relationships that are possible with God. So when I would give that class, I would first ask the students, right? This is college. I said, no judgment. How many of you are atheists? And there'd be a good number of people, atheists. And I said, that's okay. That's okay. We love you just the same. We don't hate anybody. So, the atheist doesn't want a relationship with God. You have that free will. But then, for the theist who believes in God, you have 5 possible relationships. Now you can test for yourself where you fit on this, because I don't think there's any atheists here, because an atheist can't sit for more than a second in the temple. We saw some people already leave. So either I gave a bad lecture or whatever. So the first relationship you can have with Krishna or God is one of awe and venerations. Like you see sometimes a bumper sticker, God is awesome. Yes, He's awesome. Read the Krishna book. So such a person simply is enthralled, rapture with just the concept of Krishna. But you can go higher. You can become Krishna's servant. Actually do something personal for Krishna every day. Or you can go higher. You can become Krishna's friend. You can go higher. You can treat Krishna as your child. And then Mrs. Wilson's favorite, you can have conjugal, and she loved that. And she would say, can you talk more? I said, no. It's not appropriate. You'll have to, I gave her some books. I gave her Nectar of Devotion. This is not for public consumption. As Jesus said, I have many things to tell you, but your ears cannot bear to hear. Yes. So you can ask yourself, which of those 5 are you attracted to? Do you want God as the Almighty Allah, all-powerful? Or do you want to serve Krishna every day, do something? Or do you want to play with Krishna, wrestle with Him, eat with Him? Or do you want to maintain Krishna like your own little child? Or do you want to dance and be with Krishna in the rasa dance? Choice is yours. Pick and be happy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, one more time, loudly. Come on. Yes, Dravida Prabhu, please give your Dravidian purport.
Well, you started out, it was a very personal journey that you were talking about, your own journey, and I'd like to point out that I was also born in Hempstead. I was also joined in 1973, just like my friend Nirantara, which is, I had forgotten that you were a landsman of mine. But I didn't go to a Catholic school. My father raised me as a communist, out-and-out atheist.
Wow.
And it just goes to show you how Krishna is all attractive, whether you're a Catholic musician or an atheist, or whatever. But I found that I reached a dead end with the communism and all of that business. And so I luckily got some real nectar from Amala Bhakta when he was Shiva Prem Swami running his own ashram. And Krishna, he gave me a real kick in the head with a very serious case of hepatitis. And I was in the hospital for a month, and I realized that I needed another path. And I was fortunate enough to eventually come to Krishna consciousness. And we joined about the same time, 73, in the same temple in Brooklyn. And I remember...
Those were the days, my friend.
I remember Nirantara Prabhu, we used to go on the subways to distribute reservoirs of pleasure. And he came back one day, I think 2,500 reservoirs of pleasure, for which he got, I think, at least a quarter apiece, probably more. And so he was empowered from the very beginning, and he's still empowered. Haribol Nirantara.
I didn't want to be glorified. I want you to first answer the question, how is it that Balaram didn't know for almost 1 year what Krishna was doing?
Well, I remember when I first learned that, and I was very puzzled by that, because I know that he's Krishna, in a different color. What's the difference? Prabhupada said the only difference is a little different color. So why didn't he know? And the only thing I can speculate, we don't speculate, but it's Krishna's, the Supreme Balaram is the first expansion, and for the pastime to go on, everyone had to be fooled, kind of. And that included Balaram. Although Balaram suspected before that something was going on, but Krishna was able to hide it even from him until the last few days that he described, and he understood from this. So that's because Krishna's the expansion, and he serves Krishna. His whole Ekale Ishwara Krishna Asava Britya. Krishna is the only Ishwara, and all the other expansions and plenary portions and so forth serve Krishna. So that was his service, is that he didn't understand the secret, and which would have been kind of traumatic for all the mothers and everything. So that's the only thing. I can do some research if you really want to know the official reason. It's probably mentioned in the commentaries.
The way I explain it, you can tell me what you think. The way, if I was asked that, I would say that Krishna allows anyone, including Balaram, to know only what Krishna allows you to know. Would that be a good take, or...
You can think of it like that. I think that's one way, I mean, for the sake of the pastime.
Yes, of course. Yoga Maya is acting. Yes, it's Yoga Maya.
And so,
Did you become enlivened? That's my question. Okay, so if you liked my presentation, or if you didn't like, please tell Badri Narayan Maharaj your thoughts, and let him know what you think. If you like, good. If not, okay. Thank you very much. Would you like a blessing? All right, sit properly. My dear Lord Krishna, please bless these nice devotees. Remove all their anxiety, and may they come closer and closer to knowing you, loving you, and one day seeing you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. I must say, paraphrasing a line from the Tulsi Kirtan song, it is a privilege to come here and share with you my love for Krishna. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, one more thing. If you would like to get in touch with me, take one of my business cards. And I have CDs of previous lectures. You can take They're absolutely free, so you can take as many as you like. And I have some rock and roll, Krishna rock and roll. All right? And it's all free. That's the order of my wife to distribute this, so I always obey my wife. Thank you very much. All glories to this beautiful temple, Sri Sri Radha Girihari. Haribol.